As lifelong residents of Colorado Springs, Janet and I have watched UCCS grow from its inception in 1965 to what it has become today, a robust university that not only educates the next generation of our community leaders, but is an integral part of economic development in the Pikes Peak region.
I had the good fortune to earn my MBA at the UCCS College of Business. I was greatly impressed by the high caliber of both my professors and my fellow students. Those were crazy years for us, trying to manage careers, family, and school. I was very grateful that UCCS was close by and offered evening courses.
I had the privilege of serving as a scholar in residence at UCCS from 2010 to 2015 and saw firsthand the way in which the university is seeking academic excellence while remaining affordable and available to everyone, including first-generation college students.
As a family, we've enjoyed UCCS Theater Works and numerous events at the Ent Center for the Arts.
As mayor, I've been personally involved in watching UCCS become a huge part of our city's effort to be a cybersecurity hub for the nation. The university, in partnership with the National Cybersecurity Center, can help meet our local workforce needs, but also be a national resource for research and public policy development.
As an alum, I've served on several committees at UCCS and have seen directly its positive impact on our quality of life. I'm inspired by the many success stories of UCCS graduates who remain in the Pikes Peak region and give back to our community.
Just recently, we saw another example of UCCS stepping up to meet our local workforce needs with the establishment of an astronautical engineering degree program, which will be vital to our continuing role as a major player in both the military and civilian space industry.
We are both so impressed by the work being done at UCCS that we have each individually established endowed scholarships to help others build successful futures with degrees from UCCS.
The future of UCCS is bright, and we look forward to continuing to watch UCCS grow and make tremendous contributions to our community, our state, and our nation.
Go Mountain Lions!
Welcome. My name is Stan Vanderwerf, and I'm one of the El Paso County Commissioners. I'm proud to be here to talk a little bit about the partnerships that we have between UCCS and the county, an extensive array of really wonderful things that really help our citizens, live in a better community. From the grant programs that we work on together, to innovation, to the quad partnership, to the downtown facility that UCCS has. There's so many great examples of how we work together as a team to make our community a better place. And I'm just very grateful that we have UCCS here with a lot of school offerings, a lot of engineering, technical degrees, and also business programs and innovation programs that help our citizens get into a better place where they can have a better job. It's wonderful to have a great school like this in our community, and I'm proud to express my appreciation to UCCS for the great work that they do for the county, but really for everybody that lives here. Now, there are several examples of the great partnership that El Paso County has with UCCS, but I'd like to illustrate one of those. When COVID got started, all of us were worried about making sure we have enough masks and personal protective equipment, and of course there was a shortage at that time. So we were able to procure those masks, but we had a lot of employees that needed to wear those masks for a long period of time, and they were uncomfortable. So UCCS and the county teamed up together, and we built mask hooks using 3D printers that connect the two elastic bands on the back of the mask to allow our employees in El Paso County to wear these for long periods of time. This is just a perfect example of so many things that El Paso County and UCCS work on together to make our community a better place and to get our jobs done in the betterment of our citizens here in the community. On behalf of El Paso County and all of our employees, I'd like to say thank you to UCCS for the great work that you do with us, for the citizens of El Paso County, and just for the fun that we have working together.
Thank you, Mayor and Janet Suthers and Commissioner Stan Vanderwerf. Not just our community, but our campus has benefited greatly from your leadership. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us and allowing me to share a few things about UCCS with you. I'd like to extend my appreciation to the steering committee members of the UCCS Regional Connect for hosting this event and for the work you all do to link together the community and UCCS. There are many special people joining us today who have played a part in our success. I can't mention you all by name, or else it would take up our entire program. Please know that your contributions are seen, valued, and deeply appreciated. I'm also delighted to have our friends and supporters of the university watching, along with many of UCCS Mountain Lions. Thank you for your interest in hearing what's going on at UCCS. To begin, I thought you'd all appreciate taking a journey back in time with me for a moment. I want to remind everyone how important community has been to building UCCS. True to everything we do, UCCS began thanks to a partnership between the university and our business community. More than 60 years ago, Hewlett-Packard co-founder Dave Packard, a Pueblo native, said he would establish an HP plant in Colorado Springs if a University of Colorado campus was created in Colorado Springs to support the business and education programs, engineering education of company employees. UCCS came into being in 1965 to meet this goal. We started as an extension campus of CU Boulder, and in the 70s became an autonomous campus with full program offerings. Today, we are part of the 4-campus University of Colorado system with primary focus on serving the Southern Colorado region. We have world-class faculty who focus first on teaching and conduct cutting-edge research that impacts our region. They collaborate and partner with our community in many different disciplines: cybersecurity, sports medicine and performance, health and wellness, sustainability, educating our K-12 teachers and administrators, training our government leaders and first responders, and educating the business minds that lead our industries. 85% of our students come from the state of Colorado. The majority actually call Pikes Peak Region home. Today, 1/3 of our student body is made up of first-generation students. 1/3 come from low-income families. Almost 20% of our students come from a military background. 30% are students of color, and 70% of our students work to put themselves through school. I'm so proud of our students. They're dedicated students who want to better their lives through education. These students will graduate and enter our community as employees and leaders. UCCS exists to transform their lives for the better and uplift the communities they serve. In this way, we create a positive cycle for the entire community. We are truly a university formed for the community and by the community to benefit the community. Our students are immersed in both public and private organizations through internships and apprenticeships. We are proud to engage our community in the arts through theater works, the galleries of contemporary arts, and of course, the spectacular Center for the Arts. We have had deep partnership with the community through the City for Champions projects, which has resulted in the brand new William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. We consistently provide rich economic forecasts that the community can depend on through the annual UCCS Economic Forum. We are pleased to be one of the 4 institutions making up the Quad Innovation Partnerships, which brings together UCCS, USAFA, Pikes Peak Community College, and Colorado College students to solve challenges specific to our city and region. We partner with Pikes Peak United Way in Colorado Springs Promise, which promotes access and opportunity to all through using education and a career pathway to create better lives. And of course, UCCS public safety officers partner with the Colorado Springs Police Department in keeping our community safe together. These are just a sampling of many partnerships with our community. Even in the midst of the pandemic, as we responded to the needs of our campus, we never stopped serving our community. Last March, when the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a pandemic, we shifted 80% of our classes to a remote environment in the middle of the spring 20 semester. This is a great credit to our faculty and staff. We enforce strict health guidelines. Wear your mask, watch your distance, and wash your hands. all with direction from El Paso County Health. We offered on-campus, mixed mode, and remote classes during the fall 20 semester to ensure that our students stay on track for their graduation and become productive citizens in our community. At the same time, our faculty and staff committed themselves to the betterment of our community. UCCS faculty and staff helped implement new clinical practices at local hospitals. In partnership with El Paso County, our faculty developed new 3D printed designs that make face coverings more comfortable for essential workers. Our faculty research on COVID-19 is revealing new knowledge about the virus, which will advance efforts to combat it today and into the future. And our faculty and staff are responsible for creating new mental health resilience efforts available to every Colorado Springs community member for free through the Greater Resilience Information Toolkit program, otherwise known as GRIT. I will share more on this in a moment. In the midst of the pandemic, these contributions take on more meaning than ever. They remind us that our campus and our community are in this together. We began our spring 21 semesters just a couple of weeks ago. Given the expectation of a surge in the virus after holidays, we made the decision to begin the semester with all remote classes, with very few exceptions, for the first 5 weeks of the semester. And we are looking forward to bringing back high-flex, hybrid, and in-person classes in a few weeks in February. Our students, faculty, and staff have risen magnificently to the challenges of the pandemic. Thanks to the hard work and commitment of our entire campus, we did not have a single COVID-19 case transmitted in a classroom during the fall semester. Any cases we experienced came from outside of our campus. In these ways, we made the health and safety of both our campus and community a priority. Even as we responded to the challenges the coronavirus has presented, we haven't lost sight of our long-term goals. These examples will demonstrate to you how nimble and resilient your campus is, that even during COVID-19 times, we launched our 10-year 2030 strategic plan. The plan is a bold set of initiatives that will focus our efforts to make education at UCCS a transformational experience that betters our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and our entire community. We opened the William J. Hybels Sports Medicine and Performance Center in collaboration with Centura Health. This state-of-the-art facility is a cornerstone of efforts to make Colorado Springs a hub for sports medicine, treatment, and recovery. We created the National Institute of Human Resilience even before we understood just how critical it would become in helping with solutions for dealing with mental health issues. We also celebrated the 2-year anniversary of UCCS Downtown, which continues to represent our university in the heart of Colorado Springs. I'm excited to share that we are also making great strides towards helping Colorado Springs becoming a hub for cybersecurity efforts. We're working towards a full renovation of the cybersecurity building located on North Nevada Avenue, which houses the National Cybersecurity Center. Our efforts are focused on filling the region's growing workforce with qualified cybersecurity professionals, creating a pipeline from K-12 schools to UCCS cyber programs, and encouraging women and underrepresented individuals to consider a career in cybersecurity fields. I'm pleased that our Director of Cybersecurity, Gretchen Bliss, will be sharing more about this later in the program. Hand in glove with our cybersecurity efforts is our work to expand UCCS's capacity to educate future engineers. Thanks to the generous gift of the Anschutz Foundation, we will be expanding our engineering building with a 24,000 square foot annex, allowing the College of Engineering and Applied Science to continue its enrollment growth to 2,500 students by 2026 and create a unique new academic program in astronautical engineering. This is all in addition to new academic programs in cybersecurity, engineering, technology, health-related, and digital fields. These programs are all aimed at preparing our students for the careers of the future. We're also working vigorously to expand our online programs in collaboration with the CU system. We have a great group of deans providing leadership and supporting our faculty in launching these programs. Finally, near and dear to my heart has been a story of deep partnership between UCCS and our community. I'd like to share that story with you today. Dr. Chip Benight, who teaches psychology at UCCS, has spent his academic career researching how humans respond to disasters and trauma. Susan Whelan, director of El Paso County Public Health and a UCCS alumna, called us late on a Friday night, just a week after we moved to remote learning this past March. Susan was concerned about the toll COVID was going to take on the community's mental health. She asked if there was anything we could do to help. Dr. Benight went right to work that very night. Just a few hours later on Saturday morning, he took his idea to the community. He met with El Paso County Public Health, folks from Pikes Peak United Way, and the county's emergency operators. He offered the idea of a resilience building toolkit and community coaches to promote resilience all across Colorado Springs and beyond. Between CARES federal funding and a challenge donation from the Lyda Hill Foundation, the team was able to launch the National Institute of Human Resilience under the leadership of Dr. Benight. I cannot tell you how proud I am of the Institute. As of today, in partnership with other community organizations, free grit trainings have already empowered nearly 2,000 resilience coaches from 41 states and across 8 countries. Research coming from the Institute continues to add to our knowledge of how to cope with life's challenges. And I'm delighted to share that as of today, we're officially renaming the Institute as the Lyda Hill Institute of Human Resilience in honor of the challenge grant that made it possible. This story is deeply meaningful to me. Because of the strong partnership between UCCS and the community, we were poised and ready to offer resilience training in the face of some of the most challenging circumstances of our lives. This partnership is truly by the community, for the community, and we could not be prouder to continue that legacy through our work at UCCS. Our legacy also continues to shape in the form of our alumni base, more than 50,000 strong. Once they have earned their degrees, over 65% of our graduates stay in El Paso County to live and work. They teach our children, work on military bases and in the defense industry, own and run businesses, serve in local and state government, care for patients in our hospitals and healthcare facilities, create art, conduct research in laboratories, and work to improve our environment. The work we do at UCCS has benefits you can see and feel all across the region. We prepare our graduates to be innovators, entrepreneurs, and engaged citizens, creating a direct, positive impact on our community. In this way, our work makes the region a better place to live for everyone. I hope you share my belief that we make a big difference in our community. Bear in mind that none of this would be possible without the unwavering support of all of you. We're truly blessed to have the relationship that we do with the Colorado Springs community. It is my great honor to serve as Chancellor of a university that has such a huge heart for its community. Thank you for being a part of our phenomenal community, and thank you for everything you do to contribute to our success. And now, I'd like to introduce a short video featuring our first 2 special guests. One of the defining features of UCCS is our special link to business and industry here in Colorado Springs. I'm so pleased to welcome Lynette Crow of Conspire and Health Quest to talk about how business interacts with our students and faculty. Lynette is a huge supporter of our students and their role as our future workforce. In addition, I'd like to welcome Jen Furda, who is our Director of Partnerships, Governmental Affairs, and Military Liaison here at UCCS. Jen has the pleasure of working closely with many of our community partners across the city and the region. So please join me as we hear from Lynette and Jen.
Thank you, Chancellor. Hello and good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Conspire and specifically HealthQuest, which is one of your companies?
So Health Quest Medical's Conspire is a multifaceted work comp clinic. So we're a safety net basically for work industry in regards to work comp injuries, physical therapy, drug screens, background checks, utilization review, etc.
Excellent. And I know you use some of our students, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Before we talk about that, I really want to talk about one of the committees that you're on for UCCS. You're a great friend, you're a great partner, and one of the ways that you help serve with UCCS is on one of our scholarship committees. It's called Reach Your Peak. Tell me a little bit about why you do that and what it means to you.
So Reach Your Peak is by far my favorite scholarship program. These kids would fall through the crack without this scholarship, and it's a community-funded scholarship basically for the community business owners and whatnot, and it just helps these kids, stay in school, finish their degree, and again, we're putting into the university because that's our workforce, and we want that workforce back. And Reach Your Peak is really more community funded because we want to keep them here. So we want them to get the education, but we want to keep the workforce here.
Truly a way for our business community to come alongside of UCCS and our students. And I know you have a rep to protect, but I understand from the serving on the committee, sometimes you get emotional about the stories and the students. Tell me, what do you think this means to the students to get these scholarships?
Oh, well, again, it means everything to them, so they can finish school, and again, then they usually have a job here, and that's the whole point, is to keep them here. So they see that the community is behind them, and then hopefully they will stay in the community because that is our workforce. That's the whole goal. It's very exciting. It's hard on the committee because you want to give everybody the scholarship, and that's the hard part because they're all really great.
Absolutely. We have some incredible students that have incredible stories. So tell me a little bit about other ways that UCCS and how has UCCS helped your companies in other ways? So thank you for the serving on the scholarship committee, but how have we helped you?
Well, I was able to hire one of the Reach Your Peak students while she was at UCCS. And so that was great because she worked for me for an entire year while she finished there, went to nursing school, and then went on to finish her degree beyond what we have to offer in our clinic. So that was excellent. And just most recently with COVID, so fast, nobody knew what was coming and how fast it was turning, and even the governor would send down orders the day before they had to go into effect. And so in May, when the county was putting their employees back to work, as everybody else was, there was all this criteria. You had to have temp checks, questionnaires, bandings at 4 or 5 different locations. And so when they called and said, hey, is there any way you can help us out? I'm like, of course I can. And then I get off the phone and I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I thought of the university and the nursing students. They can't do internships because of COVID. They can't go to work because the hospitals, are only doing COVID and weren't doing other procedures and whatnot. And so it was a win-win. And I was able, within 2 days, to hire 28 nursing students to open up 4 of the locations for El Paso County to date since May 4th. And without that, I don't know what I would have done. That was an excellent resource.
No, and thank you. I'm the one that took your call, and we were so happy that we could be kind of your partner in that. I mean, not only getting our students experience, that hands-on experience, but also they got to be a little bit of the COVID recovery and come alongside of you in El Paso County. So thank you so much for that opportunity. And truly, thank you for your friendship and your partnership to UCCS. You come alongside of us on many levels, and we so appreciate you and other companies that are like you. We have a lot of really good partners, so thank you for everything that you do.
Oh, absolutely, and thank you. UCCS is a great community partner. It's great for the business owners and for companies that live here. That's our future, and with that workforce and that young future, it's just a win-win for everybody in the community.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynette and Jen. Now, I'd like to welcome 2 very special guests from the new William J. Hybl Sports Medicine and Performance Center, who are joining me this evening right here in the studio. You will often hear me say, while the shiny new buildings are nice, it is the people who work inside those buildings that make them great. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jackie Burning, Professor of Nutrition at UCCS, and Mr. Bill Lewick from Centura Health. I'm so grateful for the role Dr. Burning played in crafting the vision and execution of the UCCS part in the City for Champions project. She and Dr. Andy Sabuti are both renowned for their work in sport performance. Dr. Burning is much sought after by professional sports teams, including the Broncos, and more for expertise in nutrition and wellness related to high performance, and I know how thrilled she is to be working in the new Hibble Center. We're also deeply grateful to Mr. Bill Lewick and Centura Health for helping to make the Hibble Center a reality. He has played a key leadership role in making the Hibble Center a true vision for the campus. Through a strong partnership with Centura, we're able to pull off something extraordinary for our community, state, and beyond. Thank you both for taking the time to join us this evening. I'd like to start with Bill. Bill, can you briefly tell us the story about how this strong partnership between UCCS and Centura Health came to be?
Well, to answer that question, Chancellor, we need to go back about 150 years. As you know, Colorado Springs has been a wellness destination for about that long. There are a couple of important historic wellness centers in Colorado Springs, including the Cragmore Sanitarium, which is now the site of this fine university, and St. Francis Hospital, now part of Penrose St. Francis and the system Centura Health. The collaboration between UCCS and Penrose St. Francis Centura Health was built upon each organization's mission, strengths, system support, and strategic visions. The factor around the City for Champions and all the people that worked on those economic development grants that are reshaping much of our community played large into the partnership. And finally, much foresight from current leaders like yourself and Dr. Brian Erling, faculty, clinicians, researchers, and staff that saw the potential in this public-private partnership and the existing natural resources in our community, like our altitude, our military bases, our large veteran community, the Olympics, the national governing bodies of sport, and our many disabled athletes in our community. All those things came together to create something really unique in a very smooth way, unique in this country and maybe the world.
Thank you, Bill. Dr. Burning, as a faculty member, you've been part of this partnership from day one. Describe how this alignment with Centura Health contributes to the success of our city and the university.
We are so pleased to be with Centura Health and Penrose St. Francis to put this building together. The two groups came together with that same purpose that Bill had just mentioned, and we worked tirelessly putting this program together. We designed a building together that actually has intentional spaces in it. And the intentional faculty spaces we developed, we have student collaboration spaces, and we did this for the purpose of bringing both institutions together under one roof, working together to get more experience for our students. And as Bill said, this is very unique because we've never found a building like this that has sports medicine with clinics and academics, especially undergraduate students in it. So we have a building that has undergraduate students in it, along with clinical providers, along with faculty, where they collide together in spaces that we built so they could collaborate together. So it's been a pleasure. Secondly, not only did we build the building together, but we built the programs together. So we built academic programs along with clinical services so that we could attract patients and students from all over the United States. The beauty about that is that when a patient comes to be treated at the Hibble Center, and students come here because of our academic program, their parents, their family come and visit, and the great part is that they get to visit Colorado Springs and see our great city.
Great. You touched on it a little bit, but what does the future of the Hibble Center look like?
I'm really excited about the opportunity we have in the future. And part of that future is, I think, along with research. So again, having clinical professionals in the building, along with faculty, along with students, I think we have a great opportunity to do clinical outcomes and have better treatments for our patients and for those here in Colorado Springs. I think secondly is that, as Bill had mentioned, we have an altitude chamber in the Hibble building. So if you're interested, we can come and put you at exercise at 18,000 feet. We can actually make it really hot and humid and see how long you can survive in that. And do you know there are many people that come to visit Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region that cut their vacation short because of altitude sickness? So Dr. Sabuti, who is an expert on high altitude physiology, and his team, if he is looking at a way that we can prevent altitude sickness. That means we can have more people come to our region here and stay even longer. And then lastly, looking down to the future, we have a job shortage in Colorado Springs of physical therapists. We are looking at providing a program here at UCCS that would train physical therapy, and it's a perfect fit for the building because Penrose and St. Francis and Centura Health has an operating physical therapy program, clinic actually, in the building. And I just think it would be a great opportunity to provide jobs in the workforce here in Colorado Springs and train our students to become physical therapists.
Thank you so much. Once the COVID is over, I can't wait to try out that altitude chamber. So, Bill, in relation to the Hibble Center, what should people be excited about as they look into the future?
Well, I agree with Dr. Burning. We're most excited about students, the clinicians, the researchers, the faculty, rubbing elbows together in this incredible space. We know that great things will come from it. We have many elite athletes training in the center already. If you haven't been by, please come by. It's quite the spectacle, and we expect many more in the future. We are currently running a pilot with the Colorado Springs Fire Department where we're assessing 21 firefighters, their health and well-being, then training them for 6 months, and then doing another assessment. And we hope to roll that out to the entire Colorado Springs Fire Department over the next several months, thereby benefiting our community. We look forward to product research, for example, cooling technology in clothing that athletes preparing for the Tokyo Olympics, we hope they go, will use in the warm and humid environment. We're looking forward to creating a world-class exercise-induced asthma clinic. We have a unique aggregation of expertise, faculty, and facilities that will allow us to produce a clinic that will serve an often misdiagnosed and mistreated malady in exercise-induced asthma. And finally, as you know, Chancellor, spring is right around the corner, despite what the groundhog said. And we expect to roll out a performance golf swing assessment clinic in the Performance Center. We have unique faculty expertise and equipment that will allow us to work with golfers from throughout the region on their swing.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Bernie and Mr. Lewis. You accomplished so much during the time of pandemic. I can't wait to see what you're going to do next year. So I really appreciate the effort that you and the rest of the team have done to launch the Hibble Center last year. And we're looking forward to the great things that will happen there in the future. I'm always pleased to highlight the work of our exceptional UCCS students and staff. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing someone who is both. Stephanie Adams is a shining star at UCCS. She has just completed her Master's of Public Administration and is the driving force for success at UCCS downtown. In this short video clip, Stephanie joins Joanna Bean, our Director of Alumni Relations, and Vince Burke, a proud recent graduate, who will share his experiences as a student at UCCS. Together, they represent all of our most important populations: students, faculty, staff, alumni, and members of the Colorado Springs community. I think you'll really appreciate their unique insights about the community, and UCCS.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bean, Director of Alumni Relations in the Annual Fund at UCCS. I'm at UCCS downtown today, joined by Site Director Stephanie Adams and new alum Vincent Burke. Stephanie, tell us, how did UCCS decide to establish a presence downtown?
Well, Joanna, the community and the university really came together to build something great down here at UCCS downtown. If it weren't for the vision of Regional Connect, the Chancellor, and our partners at Norwood Development, this wouldn't have been possible. We really wanted to create a platform for student-connected learning to active industries that are alive downtown, to the urban core, and to create public programming to promote lifelong learning across our community. It took a lot of vision, a lot of collaboration, and we're just so happy to be here.
More than half of UCCS alumni remain in Colorado Springs after they graduate. They live here, they work here, they have families and really deep connections to the community. So when we envisioned UCCS downtown, we thought it was important that they have a place off campus where they can come for programs, events, use the space to co-work, even stop by to pick up some swag. That was the vision for UCCS downtown, including alumni, and we're excited that they can experience UCCS downtown. Vincent, you just graduated. Tell us about your 2 years working at UCCS downtown and some of the highlights.
So in my 2 years at UCCS downtown, I worked as a student coordinator, which meant that I was a liaison working with a lot of the hosts, some of the partners, and in particularly I got to interact with a lot of the community members, students, and professors who came through here. It was a position which as a student I think was extremely important because I was able to be at almost a level playing field with a lot of people that you wouldn't otherwise get to talk to in such a capacity. And that kind of leads me to probably the biggest highlight working here was I got to meet the mayor, John Suthers, during one of the Summit House meetings, where we had a lot of the local investors and community members downtown with us. It was the first time that even just sort of as a community member, let alone a student, I was able to work in an equal position with an elected official like John Suthers. So I got to ask my own questions, I got to give my own opinions about the Summit House, bring my own research as an anthropologist into the discussion. And not only that, but both Stephanie and I were invited to give our opinions in front of an entire council of elected officials and investors. And it was particularly about the memories we have of Pikes Peak. And so that was a unique opportunity that I feel like wouldn't have been afforded otherwise. And that kind of brings me to a lot of what downtown is really about, is it's an opportunity that we wouldn't otherwise be able to get, wouldn't otherwise be able to afford, in which not only students but other members of the community themselves act in this nexus community hub point. And I think that that's just incredible for this placement. And you know, one of the more recent memories I had, it was just weeks before I left, we actually assisted with a curbside culture event in which we had a local artist, music artist, come and perform with one of our students, and they both did a jazz duet outside. And we were able to sit there and not only just observe, but interact with both the student artist and the local artist that was renowned. And I think it was just one of those things that was amazing, because hearing the notes sort of float down the streets in the evening time reminded me a lot of what it was like on a Saturday evening, sort of walking around trying to find a hangout for the night before COVID. So it comes around to being that I get a lot of my highlights from interacting and engaging with community, which is what UCCS downtown is all about. I feel like it's very much as I mentioned previously, a nexus, a terminal, or a hub in which you get all sorts of people interacting that wouldn't normally come together in a way. And these events wouldn't have been nearly as great or even have occurred without the presence of UCCS downtown.
Clearly, UCCS downtown has made a big imprint in 2 short years. The future seems very bright, and we're excited to see what comes next.
Now I would like to transition and talk about cybersecurity and our partnership with the National Cybersecurity Center. Here in studio with me is Gretchen Bliss, the Director of Cybersecurity Programs at UCCS. I'm also pleased to welcome Forrest Senti, UCCS class of 2016, who is now the Vice President of Programs and Operations at the National Cybersecurity Center. Forrest exemplifies a shining example as a UCCS alum and is truly showcasing the knowledge and skills he learned at UCCS in his career. Forrest, congratulations on your recent promotion to Vice President. You make UCCS look great. Thank you both for joining us. I'd like to start with Forrest. Forrest, can you talk briefly about this strong partnership between UCCS and the National Cybersecurity Center?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you for the kind words. I am really looking forward to look at the impact that I can make in this role. And it's actually funny to note, since you mentioned UCCS alumni, both of the vice presidents at the National Cybersecurity Center are both UCCS alumni. So it's actually interesting to see how much of an impact both the university and us out in the community are making already. So thank you. And above all, you know, when I think of the two things that represent the partnership between UCCS and the NCC, the first one is kind of an interesting story in the founding of the NCC. People like Chancellor Emerita Pam Shockley-Zalabak, Vice Chancellor Martin Wood, people like Stephanie Fortune, and even people like yourself. It's an interesting situation where before the NCC was even born, we had a partner in the UCCS. So that's the first thing I want to really harp on and make sure people understand as we kind of proceed, is that they were a part of how we got started. And the second one, and obviously of note, is our alignment. Both organizations share such a commitment to both increasing the cybersecurity workforce, as well as research opportunities for things like space, connected vehicle systems, or even all aspects of cybersecurity. And it's just been such an incredible opportunity to work with such an organization like UCCS, as well as seeing where the partnership can go as we head into the future. Thank you.
Well, Gretchen, turning to you, please describe how this alignment with the NCC contributes to the success of our city and the university.
Thank you so much, Chancellor. I'm really excited about the collaboration between NCC and UCCS. Having watched the evolution, as Forrest mentioned, over the last 4 years of that relationship in our community. We've evolved the cybersecurity ecosystem in Colorado Springs. And in a time where things are slowing down because of COVID, actually the need, dare I say demand for cybersecurity has permeated all aspects of our society. And this partnership has been key in keeping things going. We've been able to have some good successes during this time in partnership of expanding that knowledge and understanding of cybersecurity. I'd like to echo your comments, Chancellor, about community being a big part of this. In Colorado Springs, the ecosystem in cybersecurity is recognized at the national level as one of the most cooperative out there. Not just education, but the city, the state, and industry. The SBDC has put together a cyber leader roundtable that we get together to talk about how we can all work together and how we can better the situation for cybersecurity in our community. The partnership between NCC and UCCS has really had a lot of places, touch points. We have opportunities for research and collaboration, as Forrest mentioned, in space, election security. We're talking about smart cities, things that impact our community here in Colorado Springs and the state writ large. We work together with the state money to generate lots of force multiplication, right? We're bringing our networks together. We've got probably over 200 years of experience in cybersecurity between UCCS and NCC, and being able to bring those networks together in such a productive and cooperative way has been absolutely amazing. We also have been expanding our student opportunities. We're able to have partnerships and fellowships between NCC and UCCS in the area of cybersecurity on all sorts of topics. We also have opportunities to look for grants and partnerships where we can bring that hard, tough research that our engineering folks do into the city to apply in smart cities and do really innovative things. We've been able to get support for students at all levels, from undergrad up to PhD. And we've also been enhancing and evolving this ecosystem that we've been talking about. So UCCS and NCC as partners have really led in that area, and it's a new day every day. Thank you.
Thanks, Gretchen. Continuing with you, what does the future of cybersecurity program look like for our faculty and students?
Well, I'm really excited about this too. I think it's a point of pride. We are the CU school in the entire system that is a national center of excellence for cybersecurity. And that should be a point of pride both for our students and for our faculty and staff. We have cyber opportunities for all of our students. We've been working on a nested strategy, as you mentioned, the UCCS strategy. We're working on a strategy in cybersecurity that nests into that provides cyber opportunities for every student in every school. And so we have our existing programs that are well established and well respected in engineering. We've got our emerging programs in business. All of them are at the undergraduate, graduate, and PhD level. So we've got it for all of our students. We are developing programs through this strategy in letters, arts, and sciences, in our SPA program. Engineering, of course, nursing's been a little busy, but we'll get to them. We have lots of opportunities too. The way we're focusing our strategy is research, education, workforce development, outreach, and partnerships. So we're creating that mini ecosystem inside of the university that exists around us in our community that I talked about earlier. So some of the things that we're looking at, just some examples of the great brain trust we have that we've brought together, is to talk about, we have lots of students in K-12 that we can bring into our programs, maybe have a freshman seminar where they explore cybersecurity more. We have cross-disciplinary research, so not only working with NCC, but also between the disciplines. People don't realize that psychology and sociology are a part of cybersecurity. We've got faculty seed grants where we have at least one professor in each of our schools that received a seed grant to look at how cybersecurity touches them. We also are going to have undergraduate research scholarships. A lot of times research is the purview of graduate students, but here at UCCS we want to get those undergraduates excited in cybersecurity about looking into what's the next step. So we this summer have money that we are going to be using from the state funds to support our students in that effort, to link with faculty and look for new and exciting ways to engage with cybersecurity. So that's just a little taste of what we're up to, but we are going to keep moving and hopefully expand the ecosystem at UCCS to give everyone the opportunity to pursue cybersecurity.
Great. Thank you, Gretchen. Forrest, in relation to NCC and UCCS, what should people be excited about as they look to the future?
Great question, Chancellor. I think the biggest one that I really want to hit home on is, number one, cybersecurity as a topic is exciting. It's something that's not going away anytime soon, and has just the opportunity and the space as well as the economic impacts that we can create here in our local community, not only for our students at UCCS, the faculty at UCCS, or even just the community members at large. We've got this incredible opportunity between both organizations to really serve as the focal point of what cybersecurity can really mean for our city and our community. And even going beyond that to highlight some of our programs and the things that all the people at UCCS and even the greater community had the opportunity to be a part of. First, I have to talk about the Space ISAC. It was designated out of the White House 2 years ago. It just became operational a few months ago. And we have a unique opportunity here in our community to be able to have students and faculty and all different people coming in and analyzing threats to the space industry as a whole. And leading beyond that, to Gretchen's earlier point, talking about things we've worked on like election security, the cyber workforce, and even smart cities, we're doing incredible things like, working on the voting technologies of the future. We're training legislatures across the United States on the best things they can do in cybersecurity and cyber policy. We're even starting to look at how we can retrain and reskill adults to get them into the cyber workforce as soon as possible. And above all, the thing that I love the most and what you should be excited about is that we're all doing this together, and we're finding a way through Gretchen and the university at large's new strategy on how we can integrate all these things and make sure that we're collaborating for the betterment of not only the students here in our local community, but for everybody that lives here and the U.S. as a whole. So thank you, Chancellor.
Thank you, Gretchen and Forrest, for your thoughts on cybersecurity. I know our community is excited about the great things that are happening through our partnership, and we're all looking forward to more opportunities for our students and our future alumni. Well, while we have heard from a number of our alumni, this program wouldn't be complete without hearing from our students. I'd like to welcome Ernest Chambly, a graduate student here at UCCS, to share a few thoughts with us before we conclude today's program. I'm truly so proud every time I get to introduce one of our students. Ernest is a student in our master's program, an Army veteran, and also a seasoned entrepreneur. I know you'll enjoy his enthusiasm. Please help me give a very warm welcome to Ernest here in the studio.
Thank you, Chancellor. Hi, everyone. Like the Chancellor said, I'm Ernest Chambly. I am a graduate student here in the MBA program at UCCS, finishing my final year. I did start the program in the before times, so before the pandemic, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what I experienced and how UCCS helped me through that actual challenge. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. I'm originally born and partially raised in Queens, New York. I say partially because my parents did divorce when I was young. My mother joined the Army. My dad stayed in New York, so that led me to going to 4 elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 2 high schools as I was growing up. I do a year in New York, a year in Germany. I remember for about 7 years straight, my birthday wish was for my parents to get back together. Although that didn't happen, I got great experiences from that type of life and those experiences. I do have 4 little sisters after my mother remarried, and they're the reason why I truly focus on leading by example. And if I face adversity, they're usually my inspiration to make it through. With that being said, and knowing that I was the perpetual new kid going through school, I did my best to fit in, but I always had a void of community. And that was a common theme that we talked about tonight, was community. And that's what Colorado Springs and UCCS has given me. We also talked about resilience tonight, and I want to tell you a little bit about where mine comes from. So in September 11th, 2001, I was in 7th grade in New York City, and I watched the second plane crash into the towers. That night, my dad and some of his friends went into the city to provide support, medical support, transportation, things like that. I was obviously too young to help, and my dad wanted me to stay safe, but that very day, I committed to serving my country in some capacity. My mom knew about this commitment. She was 10 years in the Army at this time and made me promise never to enlist in the military. So I kept my word, and I commissioned as an Army intelligence officer after I graduated from college. What's really cool about this loophole that I found was my sophomore year, I was visiting my mother, and I was practicing drill and ceremony, or the movements that soldiers make in response to commands, and she laughed at me, very loudly laughed at me, and vividly remember her saying, "I will never salute you." She put in what's called a green and gold packet. She went to OCS, Officer Candidate School, got her associate's degree, and commissioned as an officer herself. I'm still the first in my family to graduate from college, but my mother sure did give me a run for my money. She finished her degree only 2 months after I finished my undergraduate degree. So the motivation I have to inspire is at the family level, but also at the city level. I hadn't had a community that I can impact, just my family, my sisters, my mother, and my father. So when I was making the decision after my separation to pick a place to live, which I'd never done, 30 years of being told where I was going to live, I'd fallen in love with Colorado Springs. I was passing through on the way to Durango for franchise training. I had purchased a couple of Rocky Mountain chocolate factories. Unfortunately, my Rocky Mountain chocolate factories were in Virginia and Missouri, so Colorado was not in my immediate future. Long story short, like many retailers, smaller retailers at the time in Northern Virginia, I had to close my store. That means I had no community, no cash, and no confidence. But I did have the choice of where I wanted to go. So I remembered how much I loved Colorado Springs, the robust veteran community, the history of Colorado Springs, and the community mission, much of what we've heard about tonight. And for me, that affirmed it was the best decision I could have made. Now, I didn't come here alone. I came with my fiance, and like many of you in 2020, I had to delay something. We postponed our wedding, and we'll be getting married August of 2021, hopefully. With that being said, it gave me several perspectives of how the city, how the hospitals, how the university handled the pandemic. It was amazing to see the city, like Forrest said, go into upskilling our community. We're going through the Workforce Development Center and really training some of our citizens here. It was even more cool to see how UCCS took care of the graduates of 2020. A lot of things changed, and they were there to support. I hope the leadership knows that that actually kept a lot of us going, and that's the reason why some of us are finishing this year, is because we saw that support come through. The transition to remote learning wasn't ideal, but UCCS did make it seamless, and for that I'm grateful. Even though we couldn't have snack nights at evening classes and things like that, we were able to continue our education, and I still felt a sense of community. That void was beginning to be filled. So with these experiences, I've always been on a personal mission to inspire generations by leading people to be purposeful and healthy. And in that calling, I've come to find out that our success is usually right on the other side of that challenge that we're facing today. And it's solely up to us if we decide to face that challenge, go through it, or tiptoe around it. Sometimes we turn around. But what this community has taught me, has showed me, is that you're not going to go through it alone. If you decide to reach out and use resources like the GRIT program that the Chancellor talked about, Boots to Suits if you're a veteran student at UCCS, the Pikes Peak Workforce Center, if you're not a student or if you're not involved with the military community right now, has a WIOA program that's really taking care of our citizens here in the Colorado Springs area. So what that really showed me, and again affirmed why I was supposed to be here, is because the community turned around. They showed unparalleled resilience, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this community. As we discussed briefly, the GRIT program, if you feel like you can inspire someone, take the self-paced training, become a coach. If you feel like you need to borrow some resilience, and trust me, we all do sometimes, check out the UCCS GRIT website. The Chancellor talked about some of the amazing things they're doing. I am a GRIT coach myself, and I know that I get a benefit from reaching out and helping others. And so I guess in closing, what I'd like to give you is, if you make a commitment to get involved with this community, I can almost guarantee that the community is going to get involved with you and help you reach that success that you're looking for. So for Colorado Springs' 150th birthday, I charge you to get involved in our community and do the best you can. And remember, it's not always about how heavy the load is you're carrying. It's about how you carry it. And here in Colorado Springs, you don't have to carry it alone. Thank you.
Next, I often share with people that when we help one student who's a first-generation student, help them graduate, we help their entire future generation in making a difference. And you're an example of that. I'm just inspired to recommit and keep committing to educating our students. This is why we, faculty and staff, work day in and day out because of special people like Ernest. So thanks for sharing your experience with me, and congratulations on your upcoming wedding. We wish you nothing but the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you to all those who shared their stories today. It is so inspiring for me to hear all the ways that UCCS and our community continue to innovate, collaborate, and grow together. Our roots in the community grow deep and continue to grow stronger with every year. For my entire careers as a faculty member, a dean, and now as Chancellor of UCCS, I've been dedicated to the success of our university and our community. With that has come a dedication to the success of our city and the Pikes Peak region. I'm so proud to join with many friends and supporters here today in this important work. We are truly stronger and better together. The 5th president of the University of Colorado, George Norland, once said, "We can light the way if we all hold a candle." Hearing from you all today reminds me that we are all united by a common goal, to shine a candle for our future generations and for the future of the place we call home. And the future will continue to grow brighter as we all hold out a light. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for the difference you make in our community. It has been a true pleasure to be with you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And a big thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say thank you.
Thank you, UCCS.